每天练习英文5分钟，流利英文交谈不是梦。
Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. I'm Jack.
And I'm Sophie. We are so glad you're here. Today, we've got a really exciting lesson lined up for you.
We're diving into a conversation about the Artemis II mission. Now, why did we pick this? Well, when people talk about big news, like space travel, they use a lot of expressive language, idioms, and natural reactions.
Indeed. If you want to sound more fluent and confident, you need to know how to share excitement and use filler phrases that make you sound like a native speaker.
So, let's jump right in. We're going to listen to a dialogue between two friends, Liz and Joe, as they geek out over the recent launch. Listen closely to their energy.
Before we dive into the topic, a quick heads up. If you enjoy this, definitely like, subscribe, and share it around. Now, let's go! Joe, did you watch the Artemis II launch yesterday?
Of course I did. My neighbors probably think I was watching a sports game. I yelled, "Goo," at my TV.
Same! My cat ran away because I clapped too loudly. But come on, it's the first crewed mission to the moon in more than 50 years. I had to celebrate.
Totally. And the astronauts looked so calm. If it were me, I'd be screaming, "Wait! I forgot my snacks!"
Snacks in space are important, but I loved the crew. Wiseman, Glover, Koch, and Hansen. Such a cool team.
And the photos! Did you see the one where Earth looks like a tiny blue marble?
Yes! I stared at it for 5 minutes. Then I remembered I had laundry to do. Real life is so boring compared to space.
True. And the moon photos were amazing, too. The moon looked so close, like you could just reach out and grab it.
I know! And the video inside the capsule. They were floating around like it was no big deal. If I were there, I'd be bumping into every wall.
Same. I'd be the first astronaut to accidentally break something on day 1.
Did you hear about the free return path? If something goes wrong, the spacecraft naturally comes back to Earth.
That's comforting. If I ever go to the moon, I want a return to sender option too.
You? Going to the moon?
Why not? I'd take great selfies.
True, but the Artemis II photos are already amazing. I saved like 10 of them.
Only 10? I saved 20. My phone is basically a NASA museum now.
Same here, but honestly, this mission makes me excited for Artemis III. People might walk on the moon again.
And you know what that means. Even more photos for us to obsess over.
And even more reasons for my cat to run away when I scream at the TV.
Poor cat. But hey, space history is important.
That's so true. And I can't wait to talk about the next update tomorrow. That was such a fun conversation. Now, let's break down some of the key words and phrases they used.
Let's start with launch. Liz asks if Joe watched the launch yesterday. This is the moment a rocket or spacecraft leaves the ground. Example: we arrived at the Cape just in time to see the rocket launch into the clouds.
Next is crew. Liz mentions the crewed mission and the crew members like Wiseman and Glover. A crew is the group of people who work together on a ship, aircraft, or spacecraft. Example: the flight crew prepared the cabin for takeoff.
I love this one. Float around. Liz mentioned the astronauts were floating around inside the capsule. In space, because there is no gravity, you don't walk. You move through the air freely. Example: in the movie, we saw the astronauts' pens floating around the room.
Liz also used the phrase, like it was no big deal, to describe that floating. This means doing something amazing or difficult, as if it's easy or ordinary. Example: she finished the 500-page book in one day like it was no big deal.
How about obsess over? Joe says they will have more photos to obsess over. This means to think about or look at something constantly because you are so interested in it. Example: my brother is totally obsessing over his new video game.
And finally, Joe uses totally to agree with Liz. It's a very common, casual way to say, I completely agree, or definitely. Example: the weather is beautiful today. Totally. Let's go for a walk. Jack, I have to admit, watching those astronauts floating around, like it was no big deal, made me a little jealous.
Me too. But it's also a huge historical moment. Like Liz said, it's been more than 50 years since the last crewed mission to the moon.
It's wild to think about. The original era was the Apollo program. It all started because of a space race to see who could get there first.
Exactly. The most famous was Apollo 11 inches 1969. Neil Armstrong became a global legend as the first person to step onto the moon. He famously described it as one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
And then there was Buzz Aldrin, the second man on the moon. He's so iconic that the character Buzz Lightyear from Toy Story was actually named after him.
Here's a cool detail. Between 1969 and 1972, only 12 people have ever walked on the moon. They performed experiments, drove moon buggies, and even played a little golf up there.
But then, the mission stopped for a long time. That's why Artemis II is so special. It's the first time humans are going back that way in 5 decades. It's paving the way for Artemis III, where we expect to see the first woman and the first person of color walk on the lunar surface.
It's not just about photos, though Joe clearly wants more for his NASA museum phone. It's about opening a new door for all of humanity.
We want to hear from you. Are you excited about space history, or do you find it a bit scary?
Leave a comment below. Tell us, if you were on the Artemis crew, what is the one thing you would be afraid of breaking by accident?
Also, keep practicing. Try to use the word crew or the phrase no big deal in a sentence today.
Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe so you don't miss our next English update.
Thanks for watching.
Bye, everyone.
Okay, that's all for today. Thank you so much. See you next time.